Hey y'all, it's Burgess Taylor, our Journey with Burgess, and it's September setup. It's been a bit crazy busy around here. Not only did I have a new grandbaby, I had Victor here for 2 weeks. My mom was here for a week, then I had to recuperate. So September's theme sort of chose me. It is Stephen King, and it's his Dark Tower and the books that connect to the Dark Tower series. I have been a constant reader of Stephen King since 1977 when I picked up my first book by him, thanks to my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Whittet, who introduced us to Salem's Lot. I loved the book so much and got into the book so much that I had to go to the library and get my own copy so that I could read ahead. My mom also had Christine and Carrie, so after I read Salem's Lot, I read those. I liked Salem's Lot better than Christine and Carrie, but those were still good books. I love his older stuff. I like his newer stuff. But I'm a huge Stephen King fan. There's only been a handful of books that I haven't really enjoyed that weren't my cup of coffee. But I have been a constant reader since I was 10 years old in 1977. That tells you my age. I chose the Dark Tower, or the Dark Tower series, and Stephen King chose me for September. One, Rowland from the Dark Tower has always reminded me and my daughter of my dad. Stephen King imagined Clint Eastwood, Rowland, as very like Clint Eastwood, and my dad loved Clint Eastwood. And if my dad had been back in the westerns and he loved a good western, my dad would have been so Clint Eastwood-like. Only much bigger. My dad was a big man. He was like 6'1" and probably about 250. I really like some of the quotes that come from Rowland from the books, I should say. And one of those is this opening quote that says, "Go then, there are other worlds than these." That's one of the most famous quotes from The Gunslinger. The sticker is from a store on Etsy, and it looks like a tarot card, and it says the tower, and it has 19 on the top and the bottom and the corners. And then I did the Field of Roses. One of my favorite pieces of art from the Dark Tower series is Michael Whalen's The Dark Tower and the Field of Roses. And I wanted to do something that was fun and interesting and that I love, so this is what came out from my imagination. When I did the September up at the top, I realized that I probably should have done that bigger or thicker. The pen that I'm using now is a fountain pen with some oxblood red ink in it, and I really love how that looked. I did make it a tiny bit thicker after I filmed the video, but I couldn't go too much with it because maybe next time I'll do that with a pencil first, because I can do lettering a little bit better when I do it with a pencil. But one of the things that you're going to see throughout this is, even with the calendar, with some of the things, I did this without, the only thing that I set up ahead of time was the calendar. Everything else I did without a pencil. I did with pen. I didn't take a pencil and set up how I wanted to put it on the page ahead of time or anything. I just did what I felt like intuitively I needed to do or wanted to do, what felt right to me. Some of it turned out well, some of it turned out a little bit crowded, a little bit clustered, but overall I really love it. It's not the best spread I've ever done, it's not the best setup I've ever done, it's not the best artwork I've ever done, but it was probably the most fun, one of the most fun. It's in the top 3. I had a blast. And I really love how it turned out, and I'm excited because the stickers that you see that I put in here are the only stickers that I had. So everything else that I'm going to be doing for the month of September will be things that I draw or things that I find in magazines, or maybe that I can print out, or that I find online that I can print with my little printer. Everything else will be things I draw. I don't have any other stickers other than like little planner kind of stickers, icons and stuff like that. What I mean to say is I don't have any other Stephen King stickers. I do like how it turned out overall, but like I said, I think that September could have been a bit thicker. I had trouble getting the T to stick with that vinyl sticker, but overall, I'm happy with it. Progress, not perfection. So when it comes to the calendar, I took the gun, put the gun there, the revolver from Rowland. It's one of the big things. He ends up without part of his hand, so one of the guns goes to Eddie, I believe. And then I wrote, remember the face of your father beside the gun. And then in the bottom left corner it says Ka. The 19 is a big thing. He actually talks about that and quite a few things that he writes. And this note in a bottle is actually the boat from it. It's the SS Georgie. And the little, I did little like red hair from the clown kind of thing. I saw an image like that on Google when I was researching images from Stephen King books. And that's one of the things that came up, and I did it a tiny bit differently than the image that I saw on Google Images. At the very bottom, where I end up painting the red, it says long days and pleasant nights, which is a quote from the book. I wanted to have a number of things that were symbolic of the books. And over to the left-hand side of the calendar, I will be writing some things that are important that I want to cover in the month of September. Sort of a little tiny note to myself. Those are probably going to be more personal things because the work things are elsewhere. When I get to the September log, which you'll see, I watercolor a turtle freehand. I don't draw it. I watercolor it. I draw it with a brush, and I make sure it's really light wash, because the turtle is very symbolic in the Dark Tower series. And then on the right hand side you'll see a sticker that's silver, sort of holographic, and it says all things serve the beam, and it has all the animals that go around that have to do with the beam. And I had to change the date because I wrote the wrong date, but I put serving the beam since 1977. And I have some notes to myself. Instead of a to-do list, I've started writing a notes to myself list, because that I don't always write to-dos. Sometimes there are things I need to remember, sometimes they're to-dos, sometimes there are things I need to check on or research, or all different kinds of things. And then we're gonna get to the habit tracker. I do, however, really wish I'd put that circle sticker, the holographic one that you see, more to the left or the right, but you learn. And I could have went in and changed some of this. I could have deleted some of this from the video and then went in and redid it, you know, used correction tape or whatever, cut that page out because I couldn't get the sticker off. I tried. So back to habit tracking. We're not going to delve too much into what I find I did wrong in this, but I learned from it. So the next time I have a big sticker like that that's round, I'll know to put it more towards one side or the other. With habit tracking, I'm not very good at habit tracking. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I've found that the simpler I keep things when it comes to habit tracking, the better off I am. And there are some things that I really need to keep up with that are important, like my mood, pain, sleep. Did I walk? Did I do my stretches? Did I art journal? Did I create art or journal or art journal? Did I read for at least 30 minutes? Because that's really important to me. It helps me with my sanity. I've been an avid reader since, I don't know, kindergarten. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how the log for September and the tracking thing turned out. Okay with the calendar. I think the top part is a little bit too clustered right now, but I think that will not be as clustered. It would not look as clustered once I start writing some of the things over to the left of the calendar, and once I fill in more of the calendar, it will not look so much like that. And then that's pretty much it as far as like what I did. I do have something that I wrote that I'm going to talk about throughout the month of September, which has to do with the spread. There's a conversation between Eddie and Rowland in the Dark Tower. This conversation between Eddie and Rowland from the Dark Tower. The scariest, most terrifying thing that I fear? Yes, my imagination. I thought you were going to say fear itself. Then you have a small imagination. Our imaginations can cause us to have an immense amount of self-doubt. We start thinking about, oh, well, this doesn't look right, or it's not perfect, or September should have been way thicker, or that circle should have been to the left or the right, or everything is clustered right up there. And you start thinking, well, people are going to criticize, or maybe I should just do it all over, and it looks horrible, and, you know, but did you have fun? Did you get what you needed to get done? You know, will it work? And it does. I had so much fun creating this. But if I had listened to that fear and let my imagination go wild with the anxiety and the fear of, oh my gosh, this looks horrible, people are going to hate it, it's not perfect, it doesn't look like some of these spreads that you see on Pinterest and on the YouTube videos, and oh my gosh, you know, I should have taken the pencil. Maybe from now on when I do these, I need to figure it all out in pencil first. That's not me. Now, the calendar part I will figure out, but sometimes I do draw things in pencil first, but I'm not one of those people who fills out this whole spread in pencil and then goes in and does it so that it's all perfect. I like to do these sort of organically and let them grow and develop. And I'm not saying it's wrong to do them in pencil. I'm just saying that not everybody wants to do that. I don't have the time to do that every single time I do something with a bullet journal, because I actually work in this journal. I don't have two separate bullet journals where one is for show and one is for what I actually use. I actually use this, and the more I do these, the better I get. And maybe I do need to slow down a little bit with a few things and maybe kind of figure them out with pencil, and then let everything else kind of go organically. Maybe that's something that I need to think about doing and maybe do. Either way, though, there are some things that writer Carroll talks about in his bullet journal method book that really stood out to me. And one is, although I love form and I am creative, and my bullet journal is always going to be creative. I tried minimalist. I tried to do it very simply without all the creativity, and it just did not work for me. I didn't even want to use it. So it's something to me that form and function need to meld together. They need to mesh. And if I'm so worried about the form that it's not functional for me, that's not a good thing. But if I'm so worried about the function that I can't be creative, then that's not good for me either. And so I thought I'd take some time to just talk a bit about that, as I showed you, like, in person. Well, not in person, but on here, where, I mean, I'm happy enough with it. I think I did pretty decently, and I think as I work through things in September, it will grow more organically, and then I won't feel like this is too clustered, or this big circle right down here in the bottom in the middle is sort of out of place. You know, as I do this, I think it will grow organically that way too. For now, though, what I really want to emphasize is that it doesn't have your pages, your writing, your spreads, your anything, your journals, none of it has to be perfect. It's your journal. You know, you can have the pages set up however you want to. You can follow writer's method to the T, or you can change up things how you need them. You don't even have to do the bullet journal method. You can do your own method, whatever works for you. All I'm saying is, if you are, whatever it is you're doing, make sure that you're doing it for you and not for anybody else. You know, I don't know. I guess that's where I've been at lately, is trying to get back into the swing of my creative practice after having been really busy with family stuff, and after One Book July, and sort of getting things together throughout the month of August. And as this journal grows and evolves, I've been thinking more and more about how I could show you a couple of spreads that to me look actually pretty perfect, you know, that I did a really good job with, and then I could show you things where not so much at all. If you've been struggling with that, let me know in the comments below. I'll see y'all again.